Superman returns to the New England Patriots in 2021. Cam Newton has re-signed with the Patriots on a one-year contract worth up to $14 million. That word, that phrase, up to $14 million is very important. We'll break that down in this video. But first, Bill Belichick saw enough to bring Cam Newton back. Josh McDaniels saw enough in Cam Newton from 2020 to bring Cam Newton back. And you know that I saw enough from Cam Newton in 2020 to want him back as the starting quarterback of the New England Patriots in 2021. And that is likely what he's going to be for this team. Cam Newton has signed for part 2 in New England. Before I break down this contract, this move, and why I love it for the Patriots for the 2021 NFL season, make sure that you do spike that like button, subscribe to the channel for more NFL free agency analysis just like this, and of course, guys, get in that comment section. Let me know what you think of Cam, Superman, returning to the Patriots in 2021. Now, I know that it's a 50-50 proposition. It's half empty. It's half full. I know that there's a camp that loves Cam Newton out there. Patriots Nation, like me, that loves Cam. Wanted to see him one more time, one more go. Just give him some weapons, and we can be something special. There was the other camp that said Cam's no good. Cam's done. We don't want him back. We want to move on to the future. We want a new sexy rookie quarterback. We want Garoppolo back. There is a split 50-50 camp here when it comes to this move. The initial reaction to the contract was, whoa, 1 year, $14 million? It's actually not 1 year, $14 million. We're going to discuss that. Even if it was 1 year, $14 million for a starting quarterback in the NFL, whether you believe Cam is a borderline backup or like the 20th best quarterback like I do, that's still a steal. Most quarterbacks in the NFL make $20 to $30 million, but it ends up being way more of a steal. Here are the details of the actual contract, okay? So these are the details. We have a $5 million base salary. $5 million, guys. $2 million signing bonus. Only $1.5 million base salary guaranteed. Okay, so he only has a $1.5 million guaranteed, which was the same contract he had last year. At the end of last year, Cam Newton played for only $3.7 million at the end of the day. He has a $1.5 million total in roster bonuses, and $9 million of the supposed 14 is made up in incentives. MVP, Pro Bowl, All-Pro, playoff wins, that sort of thing. So incentives will make up most of this Cam Newton contract. When you look at the details, when you see the fine print, you realize that this contract is an absolute steal for the New England Patriots. And this is a move that I feel really does benefit both sides. This is a move that's going to help Cam Newton. He's going to go to a place where, okay, 1 year in the system, I recognize these receivers, I know this offensive line, I know my coordinator, I know everybody around me, this group, this defense, what Belichick's expecting, what Josh is expecting. I know the culture in New England. I know the fan base in New England. So now Cam is going to be assimilated to this situation. And now he's going to have a full offseason when he just joined the team last August, right? So he didn't have all this time to prep with the playbook, to get healthy at the same time. Remember, Cam Newton, the reason he wasn't signed last offseason until he was with New England on a low, basically veterans minimum contract, which was honestly kind of disgraceful by the NFL, was because he was hurt, okay? That's why. And he was working, he was prepping, he was getting ready, he was grinding to get back on the field, period. Okay, so he had to prove that first. And then he had to prove that he could pick up the most complicated offense in the NFL and do it on the fly while getting COVID with the worst skill position group in the NFL. So you throw in all those obstacles, all those hurdles, and of course Cam Newton wasn't spectacular. Of course he wasn't the MVP of the league like he was in 2015 when you consider the absolute obstacles the guy had to climb. And the team still finished 7-9 and 7-8 with Cam Newton down the stretch post-COVID, going 5-4 with Cam Newton. So the thing is with Cam is he was fairly successful in terms of bringing the team victories. He rushed for 12 touchdowns. That's the most in the league by a quarterback. That's up near the most in the league, period. And I feel like the stats and the graphics we've been seeing from other places and from outlets like ESPN and Fox, I'm not trying to put a bad name on them, but like putting just the passing statistics doesn't show you what Cam Newton actually brought to this team from a physical standpoint and from a production standpoint, because this team is a run-first team offensively and a defense-first team. They're built on special teams. They're built by their offensive line. And Cam Newton, the biggest part of him was rushing the football. When they got inside the 5-10 yard line, he was running the ball. He wasn't looking to pass because they had nobody to throw it to. So Cam Newton, I believe, just from a baseline perspective, this has actually been reported, okay? Mike Giardi was on NFL Network. I was listening to it, okay? He said that the Patriots believe that last year was the worst Cam Newton can play, was the absolute worst. So if that's the worst Cam can play and they went 7-8 with a bad roster, what will they be able to do if Cam is more comfortable and if Cam physically is better, which you would propose he will be because he'll have a year to actually train his body instead of recoup his body? And supposedly, I believe Cam said on the I Am Athlete podcast, he wants to drop some weight and get a little bit faster. So I believe Cam is going to be a better player individually this year. You couple that with the Patriots having the third most cap space in the league, and Cam only taking up, $5 million of that at the end of the day, you're going to have all this money to spend on guys like potentially Kenny Golladay, his former teammate Curtis Samuel, Jonnu Smith or Hunter Henry, all these receivers that are out there, all these tight ends, the position groups that New England really, really needs. You can combine the draft as well as you like. I know that Patriots fans don't like to talk about the draft when it comes to wide receivers, and I totally get that. But here's the thing, right? The Patriots roster is going to be significantly better. Cam Newton is going to be significantly better. And when you get a quarterback that I would consider to be not an elite quarterback, not, the second tier, but he's somewhere around the average, okay? So when you get an average quarterback for backup money, that is a steal. And he's a guy that's not average across the board, right? Cam has the ability, we even saw it last year, to be elite, like to have games, 3, 4, 5 games a year where he's going to be one of the 5 best quarterbacks that played that week, right? We saw it versus Seattle. We saw it versus Houston. We saw it versus the Jets. We saw it in multiple games last year where Cam was like really, really good in that game. And some of them they won, some of them they lost. And I feel like with this team last year, they were like 4 or 5 one-score losses. They win 2 of those, they might be in the playoffs or at least in the conversation. And we're looking at this Cam thing totally differently. So it's just fascinating because I feel like the narrative has been incorrect the whole time. And I feel like where my headspace has been at, where my mindset has been directly in the camp of where Belichick's headspace is at, where Josh McDaniels' headspace is at, where Cam Newton's headspace is at. And I don't know, it's just me, but I'd prefer to be with Bill Belichick than with everybody else. So obviously Bill Belichick liked Cam enough as a person, as a leader, and as a player to have him back one more year. Now, does that mean they will not draft the quarterback? No idea. They could. They don't have to. I mean, it at least means that they have an option, a starting caliber quarterback that they can go with, or they have a guy that he's a starter at the beginning. We see how it goes. If he's awesome, he keeps playing. If he sucks, if he stinks, if he doesn't have it anymore, we draft somebody, that guy goes in, and he'll be a great groomer, right? He'll be a great guy to have as that veteran presence because he's Cam Newton, right? He's an MVP. He's one of the best leaders in the league. He's a personality that's been there, that's done that, that's played at the highest level, that knows the NFL, that knows offenses, that knows experiences in the league. And to help a young quarterback is ideal. So whichever way you look at it, this Cam Newton re-signing is a win every way around. People that think this is a loss or that this is a bad signing just clearly don't understand the business of football or don't understand or just don't like Cam, to be honest. Like, that's the only way you could really give me an argument for saying this is a bad signing. The contract is cheap. You're getting him at a bargain, okay? The coach loves him. The team loves him. He's a great leader. He could groom a future quarterback. He can play elite in moments, okay? He's going to have another year in the system, another year to develop, another year to be better, right? You're going to have better weapons around him, so his play should rise regardless. Your defense will also be better because you're probably going to add players there as well. So I just think Cam's actually going to surprise people this year. I honestly do think so because, like, we were sitting here 2 years ago, and a lot of people were in my comments saying Tom Brady's done. And I was telling you the same thing. I'm like, Tom Brady has nobody to throw to. Tom Brady is still good. Tom Brady's making these precision throws that guys are dropping. That it's a tight window every time he's throwing the ball. It's the same thing with Cam Newton, right? And even with tight windows, Cam Newton's completion percentage, which I don't like to use as a stat, was still high. So you don't have guys getting separation. Your defense stinks. And people are still blaming you. It's just fascinating. But I have a few graphics here to show you guys because I used them in the past on other videos, and I do want to show you guys and kind of give context to the whole situation. So let's take a look. So Cam Newton in 2020, of course, 3,249 yards, 21 touchdowns, 10 picks. So those 21 touchdowns include his 12 rushing touchdowns, okay? Or 12 rushing touchdowns and a receiving touchdown. Remember, he had a receiving touchdown. And an 82.9 passer rating. He actually had, I saw this on Colin Cowherd's show, a 90 passer rating at the end of the year, the last 9 games of the season. He had a 7-8 record as a starter. Remember, Cam had that slump in the middle of the year where he was awesome at the beginning. He got COVID. He sucked. Okay, he was brutal. Then that kind of formed the narrative of what Cam was for the whole year. And then he came back from that slump and it was actually productive down the stretch. He had, some games like the Bills game, which was just a blowout, mostly because of the defense. There were games in there that weren't pretty for the team, but not necessarily Cam, all right? So Cam was solid considering his supporting cast, which I think is what we need to look at next because this is the future. This is the direction of what New England needs to do for their free agency. So let's take a look at his weapons. All right, so James White is a free agent. He finished as the 3rd ranked PFF receiving running back last year. Jacoby Myers is there. He is going to be his number 1 target as of right now. But likely you would like him to be at least, a number 2. But in an ideal situation, a number 3, like slot type receiver. N'Keal Harry is on the trade block. Damiere Byrd is a free agent. And I don't even know if Ryan Izzo will make the team next year. So really when you're looking at this, okay, Jacoby's the only guy for sure that is on the team and that will be a part of Cam's crew. Now, the rest of it, right, they brought in Trent Brown. I talked about this with the Trent Brown thing, where I believe the Trent Brown signing was actually an indication that they wanted Cam back because Trent Brown's a guy that helps them in their power running game. So you have big Cam Newton running the ball, healthier this year, running that ball, which he looked pretty good running the ball last year, not going to lie. And then you have Trent Brown with Shaq Mason and, Isaiah Wynn, David Andrews supposedly, who they'll re-sign. Joe Thuney's going to leave, but Michael Omenihue, with those pulls and just mauling people, like this is a team that I said this all of last year, but if they get their defense right and they add a receiver, maybe a tight end, this is a team that's going to be extremely difficult to play against, in the same way that Baltimore was different to play against, right? Like, okay, Cam's not Lamar, but they're a different proposition. They're a different team that you have to face every week and that you have to prepare for every week. It's a different challenge, especially if Belichick can get that defense the way that he wants it, right? So they are a challenging team every week for every team because they're a difficult matchup for most of the best teams in the league. You think about it, right? Buffalo and Kansas City, they don't want to see a New England in terms of their style of play. Not necessarily their talent, but their style of play, right? So if they can get their talent to the level they want it, and they can play with this style of play, they're playing in contrast to the rest of the NFL, which is always how Bill Belichick has liked to do things. And that's why Bill Belichick plays chess while others are playing checkers. Because he's doing things that the rest of the NFL doesn't have an answer for, or he's doing things the rest of the NFL doesn't see coming. that's a new trend, or he makes the trend. He's a trendsetter. So I'm not saying New England's going to be like a Super Bowl team. I'm not even saying they're going to be a playoff team. We'll see what they do in free agency, okay? But I'm saying that they'll be competitive this year with this move. Baseline, okay? And they'll be fun to watch because they'll be different. I do believe Cam will be better. And I think this is a great signing all the way around. Great for Cam. Congratulations to him. Great for the Patriots. And now they have somebody, final point here, that can attract free agents, right? This is a guy that has a name. This is an icon. This is an NFL legend. This is Cam Newton. This is a guy that a lot of receivers and tight ends are going to want to catch passes from. And that is important that you did this before free agency begun, because now you can actually go to a Kenny Golladay and be like, we have Cam. Like, do you want to play with Cam? You can go to Curtis Samuel, who played with the Panthers with Cam, who knows Cam, who likes Cam, and be like, Curtis, we got Cam here. Like, you were good with him, right? We could put you in this offense, right? So those type of things are also undervalued, because what everybody's been saying is, oh, without Tom Brady, they don't have the allure. They don't have the flavor. They don't have the, attraction from free agents. Well, now by having Cam instead of Jared Stidham or some rookie guy, they've got Cam friggin' Newton. So Superman has returned. I'm pumped. I'm excited. I'm very fascinated to see how New England supports him and surrounds him with talent, which I believe they will. And I'll be keeping a close eye on the build of the Patriots for 2021. But this is a great start. I love this move. You guys know I love this. Make sure that you do Gronk spike the like button, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more NFL free agency analysis. Let me know in the comment section below your thoughts on Cam returning to the Patriots in 2021. Peace.